Speaking of Palestine, there's actually one more video that I just remembered I really wanted to play that I thought you guys might appreciate. This is actually a video from the Irish Parliament
Oh,
of
I think I
Matt
saw this.
McCarthy. Yeah, you saw this Matt McCarthy, member of the Irish Parliament, who was speaking out about the reality of what's going on in Israel, Palestine. And of course, a lot of people have pointed out, if you've been to a Palestinian demonstration or protest, you probably know that the Irish are very pro-Palestinian, largely. Obviously, I'm not every Irish person, but a lot of times the people of Ireland feel a certain level of solidarity with the Palestinians, given the fact that they also had to free themselves from colonial rule via a violent struggle. And yeah, their plights are obviously connected. So I thought this was a great speech on the floor of the Irish Parliament. And yeah, he just does a great job actually explaining what's going on. So I thought we would watch this real quick.
Cancora, let us be very clear. Hamas breached international law on the 7th of October. Hamas targeted innocent civilians in the most callous and inhumane manner, and their actions have been rightly condemned by right-thinking people across the world. But we should also be very clear. Israel has breached international law, not just on every day since October the 7th, but virtually every single day for decades. Israel occupies Palestinian land against international law. Israel blockades Palestinian territory against international law. Israel builds and expands illegal settlements against international law. Israel enforces an apartheid system that restricts the movements of Palestinians and denies their fundamental rights against international law. And Israel regularly and systematically attacks and kills Palestinian civilians against international law. So the question that must be answered by all of us in political life is this: how does the world respond to flagrant abuses of international law? When it comes to the horrendous war crimes of Hamas, the response was very clear and very consistent. World leaders queued up to say Israel has the right to defend itself. One after another repeated the words, the great and the good, including our government: Israel has the right to defend itself. Repeated in statement after statement, tweet after tweet, despite the full knowledge that those words have become contaminated. The words "Israel has the right to defend itself" means in practice that Israel takes that right as license to bombard civilians, to bomb schools, hospitals and other civilian infrastructure. And it has now been taken as license to enforce the displacement of 1 million people from one end of an open-air prison to another, to deny food, energy, medical supplies to a besieged civilian population, to actually deny them water, to ensure that children, the sick, the disabled, the elderly will literally die of thirst. Israel has the right to defend itself has now become cover for Israel has the right to commit genocide right in front of our eyes. How come we never hear the words "Palestine has the right to defend itself"? Not when a humanitarian...
Imagine, by the way, if even a single progressive had the balls to do this in America. I mean, besides maybe Rashida Tlaib, but just in such uncertain terms describing what's happening. It's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff. And I think that if people heard this message from American politicians, that a lot more people would understand the moral implications of what is going on. And yeah, it's just such a shame that we don't have more progressives, leftists in this country that can speak in such an unflinching and accurate manner about something, which is admittedly controversial, but is not complex when it comes to the moral implications. Like I said, it's very obvious. It's very clear what's going on. And I just really respect Matt Carthy for saying it in such uncertain terms.
Yep.
Flotilla bringing essential supplies to Gaza is met with a military assault and the murder by Israel of 9 unarmed activists. Not when Palestinians march in peaceful protest against a legal blockade and are met again with a military assault and the murder of 300 of them. Not after the countless bombings of Gaza by Israeli forces. Not even when Israel targeted and murdered 4 little Palestinian boys playing football on a beach. And not when Palestinians were dragged from their homes and forced to watch as those homes were destroyed to allow for new illegal Israeli settlements on lands that are clearly defined in international law as part of Palestine. And not after the countless offensive attacks by Israel against the people of Gaza or the West Bank have we or heard anybody in this House or any Western leader uttered the word Palestine has the right to defend itself. And why not? And by the way, I'm not asking you to say those words. And in fact, it's just as well you don't, because we all know that the people of Palestine can't defend themselves. Not against one of the most powerful military forces in the world that is backed up by even more powerful military forces. The truth is that the people of Palestine, just like the innocent people of Israel, don't need the international community to tell them that their leaders have the right to inflict more bombings, more pain, more suffering. They need the international community to say stop, to say release the hostages, to say stop the bombings, the siege, the slaughter. They need the international community to tell Israel to stop the blockade, stop the apartheid, stop the annexation, to stop the genocide. And they need countries, Taoiseach, to lead the way. And Ireland should be one of those countries that leads the way. We know colonialism, we know oppression, we know conflict, but we also know conflict resolution. We know peace building, we know nation building. And because of what we know, what our history has taught us, our call tonight must be clear. Immediate, full and unequivocal ceasefires and a decisive international intervention that leads to negotiations and to a lasting and just peace settlement, and to, at long last, to a free, sovereign and independent Palestine.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, the Irish are based. It's the one part of my lineage I actually celebrate. You know, I always eat, corned beef and cabbage once a year. Remember, fucking Italy people. You know, I always think of, whenever I think of Ireland, though, I think of that meme I sent you, Kevin, of the guy singing the song where he's like every Irish pub song, and it's just like, "Loidy-doidy-do, loidy-doidy-dee, kill an Englishman and throw him in the sea, hey!" I'm like, yeah, dude. We need the revolutionary spirit of the Irish. I like that. I like that. My grandmother was a Flynn. I can claim the Irish heritage.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was such a great speech by Matt Carthy. I wasn't familiar with him until I saw that, but just one of the best kind of encapsulations and articulations of the plight of the Palestinian people and what they're actually up against. There's so much propaganda. And like I always say, there's so much context, which is intentionally omitted in order to manufacture consent for the genocide, which is ongoing, and to paint basically all Palestinian people as somehow complicit in the crimes of Hamas, which is obviously ridiculous. So, I almost haven't seen anyone state it in a better, more articulate and convincing way than Matt Carthy.